Hey gang, so today's lesson is all about the R-type, which in my mind has a much more interesting name than it does in appearance. An R-type is essentially imagining that the staff is going to be kind of locked into an orbit. So rather than having it be that there's a single point of isolation or you're kind of moving one end back and forth across a single line, instead we're just going to keep the thumb end pointed up all the way around. Or it could be the pinky end, stays pointed up all the way around. Or we could opt to say, have the palm pointed straight down and go around. Or the palm pointed straight up and we could go around, right? These are named R-types after, and this is something after my own heart, a 1980s video game on the Nintendo Entertainment System called R-type that utilize these moving platforms that would always stay flat, but they would move around in circular kind of positions. And the hero of this game would have to jump between these platforms in order to get stuff done in the video game, right? So just like anything else, you can really play around with R-types in terms of getting your basic timing and direction down, together same, or, you know, do it together opposite, so on and so forth. But as you've probably noticed, just doing straight up R-types isn't that really visually interesting. But it can be interesting if you combine R-types with other things. One of my favorite things to use R-types for is a move called a chu-chu, which is an R-type that is teamed up with either a hip reel or a shoulder reel. Let me show you what I mean. So the place where you want to start with this is to have one hand high and one hand low, and both of the thumbs of your staves are pointing straight up. So I have both of my orange ends pointing towards the sky. And it means then that I have the pinky end of my top staff pointed at the thumb end of my other staff. This is the first time we've really played around with this in these tutorial videos, but it actually sets you up for a lot of other stuff. Now, what you do from this position is, just to start with, do a quick shoulder reel with the top hand, yeah? That is, drop that thumb end behind your back and bring the pinky end back around down. So thumb end drops down, pinky end's back. Thumb end drops down, pinky end comes back, yeah? Now, once that feels comfortable, try doing that along with the other staff. That is, it's going to perform an R-type where there's a point of contact between the thumb end of the bottom staff and the pinky end of the top staff. Again, I'm going to do that shoulder reel, so my thumb end drops down, and then my pinky end comes down, and the entire time I'm trying to keep that point of contact between the thumb end of the other staff and the pinky end of the top staff, right? And eventually this will come to feel very natural, and you can just jam through it, like so. Yeah? The other side of this is to do the chu-chu on the bottom. That is, I can turn it into a hip reel. And again, the way we can set that up is I'm going to take this bottom staff and I'm going to slip my pinky end out and away from me and then up behind my shoulder before bringing my thumb end back to the top, yeah? So it's pushing that pinky end out away from you, behind your back, and then the thumb end comes back up, like so. And again, the way you want to work towards this is to see if you can keep the pinky end of the top staff tracing the thumb end of the bottom staff, like so. It's worth noting, in both cases, whichever staff is doing the R-type, that is, whichever one is kind of staying straight the entire time, is always going to be in front of your body. It never ever passes behind your body. That's reserved for the end of the other staff that is not being traced with the R-type, yeah? So again, we can go down and around like that, down and around. And once you have both of these, the fun is transitioning between the two of them. This is why it's called a chu-chu, because it looks something like in those old school locomotives, how they would use those long bars in order to transfer motion from a piston to the wheels, right? So we can do top and bottom, top and bottom, top and bottom, essentially transferring motion between the two of them. Our home base is always this point right here where we have both of the staves in front of us, and we can opt which one's going to rotate and which one's going to do the R-type, which one's going to rotate and which one's going to do the R-type. And we just alternate back and forth between them. Of course, there are many other things that you can use R-types for if you want to, but this is the simplest trick that I know that makes use of them. You can also just play around with the idea of, okay, what if I was going to do an anti-spin with one hand and keep an R-type going with the other one? Anti-spin, R-type. Or perhaps you could do an isolation versus an R-type. It's totally up to you. See what happens when you play around with these, and also play around with the idea of what if, say, I did anti-spin versus R-type on the way up, and then I did anti-spin versus R-type on the way down, and I reversed which hand was doing the anti-spin and which one was doing the R-type up top, yeah? So it becomes this move. And what you're going to find is that you need two of them in order to get your hands back in the orientation that you had them at the very beginning, right? Cool. So, thank you guys for watching. Have fun with these, and I will be back with another tutorial for you in 2 weeks. Peace. This video was made possible thanks to the kind contributions of these folks right here. Special thanks to Sean, Prisna, Kira, and Firefly for your very generous support. This video channel is a one-man operation. Help me to keep on making these videos by visiting drexfactor.com/support, where you can get your name in the credits or choose from a variety of other rewards and help me to continue to make the videos that I love. Thanks for watching.